Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here with my Splash Zone plays of the day. And when I say Splash Zone, all I mean is my favorite NBA player props. I need to know who's going to splash around and get us wet and who's not. That's what we're going to dive into today with my 4 favorite NBA player props for today. We're talking today's NBA betting slate, Saturday, December 2nd. Now, before I can get into today's picks, I do need to do a recap of yesterday, which was absolutely brutal. And it wasn't just with my NBA player prop picks either. It was with basically everything I gave out yesterday went to crap. Also does unfortunately include these NBA player props. I gave out 4 yesterday. I did not get any of those 4 to cash, 2 of which just terrible, bad beats. Number 1, I had Jason Tatum over 4.5 assists. He had 4 in the first half. Then he got ejected in the third quarter, ended with 4 assists. Terrible. I had Jalen Suggs under 14.5 points. He had 4 points at halftime. I saw that, thought I was sitting pretty. I checked again. He had 14 points with under a minute left. But he gets fouled. He makes 1 of 2 free throws. He ends it with 15 points, 2 L's. If we had at least gotten those to cash, we would have had a slight profit. But we didn't. Those go down as L's in the record book, so that's how we track them. At least we had been hot prior to that, so we're still easily in the green here, up over 8 units of total profit, also up over 8 units of ROI as well. Hopefully we can get things back in track today. If you're not already, would appreciate it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. And let's talk about these Splash Zone plays. Let's get wet. Play number 1. This is in the Magic versus Nets game. We're taking Spencer Dinwiddie under 7.5 assists, -110 odds at BetMGM. So it's my only non-over play of the day, my only fade play of the day, fading Spencer Dinwiddie. I love fading Spencer Dinwiddie specifically in this matchup, and also just because he's one of my least favorite players in the NBA. But we're not fading him because I hate him. We're fading him because he just has a brutal matchup against the Magic. Now, yes, the Magic are on the second night of a back-to-back, but they're a young team. I'm not expecting them to have too many issues with that. And if you want to talk about upside surprises, the Magic are probably the first team that you're going to talk about from an upside surprise perspective. And a lot of the success that the Magic are having is because of how good they are on defense. According to net rating, they have the 3rd best defense in the NBA. They're only behind the Timberwolves and the Celtics. In terms of points per game allowed, they allow the 4th fewest points per game. And then their good defense also holds true from an assist perspective as well. They allow the 2nd fewest assists per game in the entire NBA at 23.1. Now, if you want to get even more granular and look at positions, they're also good at guarding point guards, right? They allow the 3rd fewest assists specifically to opposing teams' point guards. That would be Spencer Dinwiddie. Now, if you want to dive into Spencer Dinwiddie a little bit, he's only cleared 8 or more assists in 7 of 17 games so far this year. And even if you take out the games that Ben Simmons played, because if you want to say, okay, well, yeah, he wasn't going to have as many assists when Ben Simmons was there, that's fine. Even if you take those games out, he's only hit it in 5 of 12 games. Now, I will admit he's getting a little bit more assists recently, and he did just get 9 the last time these two teams played against the Magic, but I still like riding with the under here. It's a positive EV play, getting Spencer Dinwiddie under 7.5 assists as our first play of the slate. Next up, Cavs versus Pistons. Donovan Mitchell, 30-plus points, +115 odds at DraftKings. Now, technically, Donovan Mitchell is listed as a shooting guard, but we all know him and Garland kind of split lead ball handler duties. So I kind of just view Donovan Mitchell as a guard as opposed to specifically a shooting guard. And we all know that the Pistons are the preeminent team that you want to target for lead guards, for lead ball handlers, right? In terms of usage, Donovan Mitchell has a 30% usage rate. Darius Garland is down at 26.5. That's a pretty sizable difference. So using all of that to say, we can agree that Mitchell can be just categorized as a guard, right? Okay, so with that in mind, the Pistons are absolutely a defense that you want to target for opposing guards like Donovan Mitchell. They give up the 2nd most points per game, specifically to opposing point guards. The only team above them are the Spurs, and there's a massive drop after them. So the Spurs and the Pistons are by far the worst, and then there's a massive drop-off between the 3rd worst team. Jalen Brunson just put up 42 against them. D'Angelo Russell just put up 35 against them. And overall, 9 of the past 11 guards have gone over their point total over-under against the Pistons. Looking at Donovan Mitchell, he's cleared 30 points in 6 of 14 games so far this year. I will admit, admittedly, in a little bit of a cold streak. Feels like the perfect opportunity for him to bounce back against a lowly Pistons team, hopefully cashing our second play of the evening. Next up, Hawks versus Bucks. Trey Young, 30 plus points, plus 135 odds at FanDuel. Next play, backing another point guard, another lead guard in a juicy matchup, this time obviously with Trey Young against the Bucks. The Bucks defense, with all the trades and losing some of their depth, their defense has been a sieve all year, and this represents a very juicy matchup for Trey Young. Similar to the Pistons, guards absolutely kill the Bucks, and they have all year. Looking at props.cash, when you're targeting point totals for guards, the Bucks are the worst defense in the NBA regarding that. So it doesn't just look at point guard versus shooting guard, it just looks at guards. The Bucks are the worst defense in the NBA at allowing opposing guards to score. If you want to look into these specific positions, point guard versus shooting guard, they allow the ninth most points per game, specifically to point guards, and the second most points per game to shooting guards. So another team that just gets killed by lead ball handlers, which is obviously Trey. Now, this stat I'm about to give out is astonishing, and I had to double check my numbers to make sure that they were correct. But 13 of the last 14 point guards against the Bucks have gone over their point total over under. 13 of the past 14. That includes both superstars and bench guards, all the same. Regardless of what their point total over under is, 13 of 14 have cleared it. That includes Jordan Poole, who played the Bucks twice in this stretch, scored 26 and 30. That includes Kyrie Irving, who put up 39. That includes Luka Doncic, who put up 35. LaMelo hung 37 on the Bucks. Now looking at Trey, he had a brutal start to the year from a scoring perspective, but he's really come on recently. He scored 30 plus points in 4 of his last 6 games, including 2 of his last 3. In the last game out, he put up 45. 45. He put up 45. So he should go off once again today against the Bucks, hopefully cashing our third play. And last up, fourth and final pick of the slate, Thunder versus Mavs game. We're taking Chet Holmgren, 20 plus points, plus 105 odds at FanDuel. So finally, a play that we're not taking a point guard, whether it's an over or under. Instead, we're taking a center for the Thunder in Chet Holmgren. Similar to the other plays, finds himself in a very juicy matchup against the Mavericks. Now, this is an interesting situation, and I kind of love finding plays like this. So his main line over under is 18.5. So we're only bumping him up 1 point to get plus money odds. But if you just look at his main line over under, he's only cleared that in 5 games this year, and he's only gone over 20 or more points in 3 games. So when I find situations like that, it always makes me think, with a player struggling this much, just in terms of what their point total over under is. I'm not saying he's struggling as a player. I'm just saying he's struggling to hit what the books are currently pricing his point total at. Why are they pricing it so high with that in mind? It's because of the matchup, right? The books know these types of things, and I think they love finding situations where people are just going to see his hit percentage and immediately think that it should go under. But in this game, obviously I'm betting the opposite. I think he's going to have a good game because of how bad the Mavericks defense is. Now, they're not the Pistons or the Wizards or the Pacers, but they're very bad. 23rd ranked defense according to net rating, 22nd in terms of points per game allowed. The reason why we're targeting Chet specifically is because they struggle against opposing centers. If you drill down to the center position, it gets a lot worse. They allow 25.63 points per game specifically to the center position. That's the 3rd worst in the NBA. They're only behind the Pacers and the Wizards, who basically don't even bother to pretend to play defense. Şengün put up 31 against the Mavericks last week. Sabonis put up 32 against the Mavericks as well. Chet has been awesome this year just as a player. Hasn't quite come as a consistent scorer, but he's been great, and he's starting to come on as a scorer, and I expect him to have a good game tonight against the Mavericks. Hopefully, cashing our 4th and final pick of the evening. If we can get 2 of these plays to cash, we will be profitable. If we can get all 4, we'll be somewhat rich. So let's hope for that. And that's all I got. Appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a good one.